morning, and welcome to Sunday School. I'm Caroline Randall Williams, and I'm here to bring you to Blues Church in the Blue Room, where you're going to be getting your lesson about moving Nashville forward. That's not just an idea. It's a guaranteed basic income pilot devoted to restoring Nashville's soul by putting resources into the hands of the people of North Nashville. As a daughter, a granddaughter, and a great-granddaughter of North Nashville, I'm humbled and overjoyed to be the first voice to begin these Sunday school conversations with y'all. As a poet, it's now time for me to do what I do and share some words with you. I picked this poem first because it's been a year, it's been a week. We've got a lot of work to do. This poem's called Which Lives Matter. They found the shooter and arrested him without incident. They found the shooter and arrested him without incident. They found the shooter and arrested him without incident. They found the shooter and arrested him without incident. They found the shooter and arrested him without incident. They found the shooter and arrested him without incident. They found the shooter and arrested him without incident, and arrested him without incident, and arrested him without incident. That today is for Dante, right? I was thinking about gun violence. I taught at an all-boys, mostly white private school here in Nashville, and that was complicated for me and important to me, and so I'm going to read you a poem about that experience. It's called Sestina for the Boys on the Hill. Every afternoon, the boys storm the room, ravenous, claim a window, each to each, press the glass open, and spit. At first, I tried to stop them, these young guns. I could not trust or believe in their joy. How could spitting alone shrug the world's weight? A defeat by degrees. Wait for it, Miss Williams, you'll see. And the boys lean their heads out, spit. And because my joy came so much from them, I loved the window for its clean fun. Not girls or games or guns, just young men and gravity and spit. Thinking more, though, on white spit, I feel history tremble through me, her weight asking, where's it been aimed, girl? At whom? With guns? And her hand, my hand, her mouth, my mouth. Boys, I say, sit down. I reach, shut the window, and we divide my joy from their joy. My past sense, she fractures joy. She fears young white men in the South who spit for fun. She knows a brick through a window was good sport once too. Wonders, would the weight of your spit have been aimed at girls and boys walking black to school facing dogs and guns? I've never loaded a gun or opened a window to spit for joy. I have been an object to men and to boys, a black body made for whistles and spit. That's the thought behind the gaze, as my weight swings my hips, makes me a frame, a window. History, viewed through my window, reframes herself, asks hard questions of guns wielded for sport, for the weight of felled game. When men bear arms to find joy, it costs us things. Still, careless, like spitting, they pull back, let loose, please their inner boy. At my room's window, I see death stalk joy, imagining guns my kids polish with spit. But hope says, wait, make good men from these boys. So sometimes people grow up and they make mistakes and they tell truth about past mistakes. This poem is called other ways to say blackface. It's based on a true story. Take the cork, he said. We were out walking. It made me feel free, he said. I stopped walking. I said, I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. Take the cork. Do you mean blackface? Yes, that's right, he said. It's natural to want to be different, to want to feel free. Oh, white boy. Oh, Lord. Oh, tell me, sir. Yes, tell me how you want to feel free. Old boy here on my street, tell me, do I make you free? Am I your new black face? I mean, my black face next to yours? My black mouth on your mouth? Does that free you from your trim white body like that cork do? Am I just your little thick, black, sweet corkscrew? You know how it works, he said. After your parents have opened the bottle of wine, take one and burn the bottom. Take one, I said. One what? I said, oh, the cork. I said, oh, right. Oh, white boy. Oh, Lord. Oh, the street fell away. I'd let you put your hands on my body in both of our wanting. And now you say blackface, and you say free, and you say natural, and you look at me, and you say free again, and burn the bottom. And before I can conjure your young white hands with they match-burned cork, smudging your face till it feels black and free, I am afraid of how much you don't know. And I'm afraid of how much I can stand. Oh, white boy. Oh, Lord. Oh, take your cork, put it back in the bottle, stop up everything left of that strange nostalgia. Stop looking to feel free in my skin. Give it back to me without the burn, without the cork. My skin looks to you like the freedom your skin is. This is a poem I wrote about the beginning of COVID and figuring out how we take care of ourselves, about how we make it through. It's called What's Left There. After we divide what we want from what we can't survive the lack of, flip it. After we divide the desire from the need, the milk from the dark chocolate, the top shelf spirit from the buzz in the head, then, yes, then we are getting somewhere. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, sometime, somewhere, folks was in danger, and there wasn't enough to live by. And then, sometime, everywhere, some folks wanted to get safe and stay safe and be well. And then some folks, sometime, somewhere, they said, make a plan. They said, be ready. They said, name your needs and hunt. They said, plant your seeds and strive. And hey, ever after, some folks ever after, they lived. And that's a good story because it's true, because we live it. Divide desire, that fresh loaf from the need, what's wholesome, flip it. Divide what we want, that first choice egg from what we need, what's still on the shelf, and we know we chose once. Girl, yes. I said, name your needs. Here, I'll name mine. A drink, a lift, a split in the day. And hunt, yes, here in the back. It's red and not gin, but will do. And oh, I did choose it once and think it was love. The bottle, not the boy. Plant your seeds and strive. Well, I say, there is a little hope in all of this, and I will sow it here in my some folks' cup, sanctified by this cupboard wine. Tremble in gratitude at what the will to live looks like in my house these days. And so grateful, I say, we will drink the wine and we will eat what's left there, and our past will sure sustain us. All right, I'm going to close it with a poem called A Sustainable Call and Response before I bring two of my dear friends to the stage. What are you asking us to want? What are you expecting our bodies will remember here? Let me put it another way. You say farm to, I say field hand. You say fresh produce, I say strange fruit. You say back to the basics, back to the land, I say return. Return unto us our stolen acres. Give us our land back again. How shall we revisit a stolen theme? What harvest invites us home, and our hands' blood still soaked to every now decorative plow? Our pastures with a pen stroke turned to someone else's flock? I say, no. I say, we have left your not yours farms for seats at tables. Our ability to sustain ourselves is our sustenance. Your sustainables come always and too often at our expense. And well, priority is as priority does. So call me a resource, sugar. Put me on your list of things you hope endure. All right, it's time to welcome Jamel and Denzel to the stage to continue this important conversation.
Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. Give it up for one of the best poets. Give it up for one of the best poets in the city. Thank you for that, thank you for that, thank you for that. And I'd like to welcome you to Sunday School, where we're gonna have a conversation about bringing a guaranteed basic income to Nashville. So we're gonna be doing this last Sunday of every single month. It's gonna be good conversation. Sometimes it's gonna feel heavy, but we're gonna make sure we have fun, right? Cheer it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. We have a live audience. And so if you wanna know more details about Moving Nashville Forward, which is a guaranteed basic income pilot that we're hoping to launch in North Nashville, make sure you visit our website, movingnashvilleforward.org, and we want you to move with us. But before we get into it, if you can just kinda introduce yourself, name, pronouns, organization, and what brought you here, our motto. My name is Jamel Campbell Gooch, he, him, his, Gideon's Army, Black Nashville Assembly, one of the co-founders of Moving Nashville Forward. And what brought me here is I think a guaranteed basic income is a solution that Nashville needs. And so I'm really hoping that the people in the room, that the faces that we show you, all can teach a little something about their artistry, but we can connect it to what a guaranteed basic income is and how it's gonna affect people that are struggling with poverty in Nashville. Thank you, and I'm gonna kick it to Denzel.
Cool. What's going on, y'all? So my name is Denzel Caldwell, pronouns he, him, his, and I'm coming here representing the Nashville Economic Justice Alliance and also Black Nashville Assembly. The reason I'm here is because of the work that I'm doing with the Nashville Economic Justice Alliance. Founded back in 2018, we came together, 5 of us came together with the understanding that it was time and the conditions, the time and the circumstances have paved the way for the need for a guaranteed basic income, not only in Nashville, but in the state of Tennessee as well. So this is the work that we do, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for that, Denzel.
I'm Caroline Randall Williams. I'm a poet affiliated with Third Man. They published my book. And I'm also a professor at Vanderbilt University. I'm also the president of the Southern Equity Collective, which is an anti-racist, a strategic communications firm that is rooted in anti-racism and finding solutions to problems that what am I trying to say? And finding solutions to these kind of problems across the country and across the globe. And I am here because I am my grandfather's granddaughter. And he died fighting for this city. He died fighting for them not to build the interstate. He died in North Nashville on Marina Street. And I want to be a part of figuring out how to resolve questions that he asked all through his life and through my memories of him. And I have followed y'all into this space because you're continuing the work, and I'm just a soldier. Like, I'm just ready to put me to work.
Soldier in the army of the Lord. Thank y'all for that. Please clap it up for our guests. Please, thank you. Give us some noise. Give us some noise. Give us some noise. So let's just kick it off. So what is a guaranteed basic income? And before we get into that, I would like to say so much of this is about upending the narrative about how we talk about poverty, right? Something that Denzel says all the time is that poverty is not a moral failure. So when we talk about these things like guaranteed basic income, it's good to have a conversation on what it is. So either of you can answer that question. Okay. What is a guaranteed basic income, and what does it mean to you?
Cool. So a guaranteed basic income is a step towards chipping away the myth, as Jamil said earlier, that poverty is a moral failure. The reality is that scarcity is a myth. It's not a natural occurrence, right? It's predicated on ideas of people not having and having based on really artificial ideas of who deserves what, right? So a guaranteed basic income is this idea that everybody gets a certain amount of money, no questions asked, no hoops to jump through or anything like that to meet their basic needs, right? Everybody has the right to live, period. No exclusions apply, right? And so this is a manifestation of that politic. And why I do this is necessary. There are too many people dying out here that don't have to and shouldn't, right? Because we want to be about life and promoting life and having people live thriving lives, right? So this is a tool for that. And this is a tool to really dismantle that artificial construct called poverty.
Thank you. Did you want to add something to that?
I was in a conversation last weekend where Eddie Glaude Jr. said, you have to decide what your definition of justice is. And if to you, justice is you can work and you can pay for the roof over your head with the money you earn, if your idea of justice is you can get sick and not have that mean that you can't keep your house, then you need to be doing the work toward making sure that justice is working. And as Denzel just said, people need to be able to live. And we know that it's not just that that there are conceits and constructs and mythologies here. There are fundamental truths about this country and the inequities that it was built upon and the things that have been stolen from people, even as they've tried to transcend the traumas that have been unjustly imposed upon them, that we have to begin to restore and repair from. And to me, that's what the guaranteed basic income is about restoring and repairing.
For sure, and that's so interesting that you said restoring, and you started pointing back to that history. I think we've all mentioned it. A little piece of history about where guaranteed basic income comes from. And it's very, 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 very much so tied to Nashville with Callie House. Mm-hmm. Denzel, do you want to talk on Callie House, who she is, and how she's relevant to this conversation?
Oh, for sure. So for those who don't know, many talk about the fight for reparations for formerly enslaved African American people. And a lot of people can point to different organizations that have had different time periods. But what a lot of people don't know is that fight began here in Nashville. Following Reconstruction, there was a formerly enslaved black woman by the name of Callie House who came here to start a pension association that spread out to multiple cities following Reconstruction to fight for pensions, for payment, for reparation for formerly enslaved folks. Unfortunately, throughout her life, she met a lot of pushback, not only from the white majority, but even from some middle-class black folks in the city at the time. But her spirit is what grounds a lot of the work for reparations in the country, right? And it grounds a lot of work for repair and restoration, right? And so I really want us to like think about that as we ground ourselves in that history.
Thank you for that. Not only Cali House, we got Martin Luther King asking for a guaranteed basic income. We have a freedom budget that they're advocating from. We have a Poor People's Campaign that Martin Luther King left unfinished and handed off to some more organizers that were calling for a guaranteed basic income.
Yeah, and for more clarity on that, so the Freedom Bill of 1966 was a document that Dr. King, A. Philip Randolph, one of the constructors or builders, architects of the March to Freedom for Jobs, March to Washington for Jobs and Freedom, and as well as other prominent economists and labor organizers, created that bill to address a lot of the issues that we talk about a lot today. So they had demands from universal health care, right? That's a relevant conversation right now. A guaranteed income, a federal job guarantee, right? They were really trying to put in systemic pieces to eliminate this artificial construct of poverty, as I mentioned before. Fun fact, if you move forward into the 70s, there was an organization called the National Welfare Rights Organization. It was predominantly run and populated by working class black women organizers. And one of the things that they pushed for back in the 70s under the Nixon administration was a guaranteed income, particularly for folks who were working class folks. But the compromise that came out of that, based on the pushback, was the earned income tax credit. And a lot of people don't know that history. So it's because of that work to push for a guaranteed income, something that we're fighting for now, that we even got the earned income tax credit, which was a compromise, right? So when we want to think about like the history of the work that we're doing, right? We want the whole thing. We don't want a diluted solution. We want the whole thing because our folks need it, and they've been deserving that for generations.
For sure. Caroline, did you want to add to that? I'm gonna keep kicking it to you until you just start talking.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love we want the whole thing. I feel like I'm getting to sit with history makers right now. I think about you talked about the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, and I'm going to quote the late great John Lewis, who said, "We do not want our freedom gradually. We want our freedom right now." Because it made me cry. Because it's so late. It's so late. It's so late. It's too late always. And I was laughing thinking about, the tax credit, and you're going, this country was founded by white men who did not want to pay their taxes. So we have to figure out how to help America do better. I'm going to quote James Baldwin and say, "I love America. It is precisely for that reason that I criticize her continuously," right? Is that I have the right to criticize her continuously. We have to remember that for all of his wild faults, Thomas Jefferson did include in the Constitution a clause that allowed for amendments. He knew it was an imperfect document. He knew that we were going to have to fix some things. And this is one of the fundamental things that we've got to fix. Yeah.
For sure. Thank you for that. And I want to say, and Caroline Randall Williams just got to the essence of what Moving Nashville Forward is about. And that is moving Nashville forward, because we're hoping to push them into a guaranteed basic income and literally move them to the point that where we're all getting a guaranteed basic income that is being funded via our tax dollars. So the guaranteed basic income pilot will give $10,000 to 100 families over a year. And that is broken down in the increments of cash payments every year, but we're gonna get back to that. But I want to get back to this conversation real fast. So I remember when I found out what a guaranteed basic income was, right? I had no idea what it was probably like a year ago, and it was the tornado. Me and Reed were working on tornado relief things, tornado relief plans. Somebody from an organization called Give Directly landed here, and they was like, yo, we've been looking at Nashville from satellite photos, and it looks like North Nashville would be great to have a guaranteed basic income in as a response to the tornado relief. So I remember calling Reed. I mean, me and Reed was talking. I remember calling Denzel. I remember talking to Caroline and just being like, yo, what is this? Like, I've never heard of this. It's been happening across the globe since the 70s, and I'm just amazed that we haven't been talking about this here. So my question is what was your reaction when you first heard about a guaranteed basic income? Or what was your reaction when you first heard about what we were attempting to do here with Moving Nashville Forward and bringing a guaranteed basic income to Davidson County?
Denzel, no, you first.
Okay. All right. When I first heard their reaction, I was like, it's time, right? It's long overdue, right? I don't have to go into how hard hit North Nashville especially has been hit, you know, with the recent disasters of the tornado, COVID, you know, the rapid and just like overwhelming disenfranchising, economic and political disenfranchisement of black folks in this city. But when I saw the project, I was just like, let's do this. Mm-hmm. Let's do this. Cause there's no holding back, you know, cause we're now in a space, and we've always been in this space, but especially now with the multiple crises that we're facing, we have no choice but to choose justice, mm-hmm. right? And so when I saw that, I was just like, this is what we need to do. Let's show not just the country, let's show the planet how we are supposed to value life. And let's start with a guaranteed income that ensures that everybody in this space has the means to not only survive, but thrive.
So when I first heard that we were thinking about starting this here in Nashville, and I think the sense of too late, overdue, those are the first thoughts that we think. But I also had, and this is a challenge I put to anybody who's watching this now, anyone who's going to watch it in the future, I had this fear that it would smell a little bit too much like reparations, and that people would become cowards. People would be cowards about it. And I was like, we have to figure out how to present this so that people get brave. And we have to figure out how to present this in a way that doesn't let people retreat from what's right. Because, you know, we're just confronted all the time with the limitations of people with resources. And I think, and their inability to share, their inability to work toward equity, right? And so to me, my big hope in this moment is because it's right and it will work. When you do the right thing, it works out. When you give people the things that they need, they do better. That is just true. So this will work. And if it works slowly or if it has imperfect stumbles, I'm just praying that we figure out. I'm not praying, I'm going to work. I'm going to work, and I'm going to tell y'all to work. We're going to work to make sure that people hang in there with this project, because it will work and it needs to work, and it's overdue, and the world needs it, Nashville needs it, and we're putting in the time right now.
Yeah, and what's beautiful about the work is that it's happening across the country. I mean, we're one of 30 pilots that are popping up across the entire country that are aiming to give people unrestricted cash in the form of a guaranteed basic income and deliver a report. There's been a couple before. There was one in Tennessee, My People's Fund by the Dollywood Foundation, where there was a fire that happened in Gallenberg, and they gave like $9 million to 900 families. Stockton Economic Empowerment Demonstration, which was the first mayor-led guaranteed basic income pilot, did it in Stockton, where they gave their citizens or their residents $500 unrestricted for 24 months. And what came out on the end of that was a lot, right? One of the things that was most startling to me, or that taught me the most, was that people took more risk. So they was able to come out of the program in a better financial situation than they did when they came into getting the guaranteed basic income. So I'm really hoping that we can get this off the ground. We not only can change the material conditions of our folks that are struggling with poverty right now, we can change it for them in the future.
And I just want to add a little bit more of grounding to just this moment, right? Nashville, for a lot of people that don't know, has been a sacred hotbed for transformational work, for movement work, right? So we talked about Cali House, but let's go into the civil rights movement. A lot of people don't know that Nashville was the first major city in the South to desegregate its public facilities. And who did that? The students that were at Fisk University, Meharry Medical College, Tennessee State University, a lot of those black students in the black communities in this area, right? And it came through discipline and organization, and a lot of the students that left this space, left this city to do great things, did great things. I mean, the late John Lewis was a student here, right? The late C.T. Vivian, right?
Diane
Nash, so many, right? And that energy has never left, right? That energy has never left this space. And so when we talk about moving Nashville forward, when we talk about getting a guaranteed income in this city, it's coming from that sacred space, right? Because when it comes to time is not this linear thing. It's a plane. It's a plane. And we're making contact. We are getting in touch with those who came before us in order to do this work. And so it's not even a thing of, whether or not it's going to happen. It's inevitable. Justice is inevitable, right? So it's time. And the time is now.
I just want to say, thinking about the civil rights movement in this city, and another thing people don't know is that Dr. King, the sit-ins that John Lewis and Diane Nash, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, which began in Nashville. Exactly. SNCC began here. And the sit-ins that SNCC organized, that those students organized, were the ones that Dr. King wanted to model all subsequent sit-ins upon, because they worked so well here. When those students got arrested again and again at the Woolworths counter, and D. Alexander Luby and my grandfather came and bailed them out again and again, that worked beautifully here. It's part of why Nashville is, HBCU, it's an HBCU hub, right? But it's also why they built the interstate. Because Nashville, we are a test case for two things: for Black excellence, overcoming systemic oppression, and then for systemic oppression mutating swiftly to shut that down. And they shut us down. They built the highway to cut us off from the rest of our city, to cut us off from the lifeblood of this city. And it worked. It decimated Black Nashville doing that, because they saw us thriving. But we're still here. And we're the descendants of the people, we're the descendants of the people you came for. And so we're even stronger. Yep. And I'm so ready.
Oh, for sure. There it is. For sure. And I think one way that we stop those type of things from happening, or that systematic oppression that from mutating into something else, is making sure that these efforts are grassroots oriented, right? That means that it is about building a base, it is about building a movement towards guaranteed basic income and other things like that. So one thing that is special about the pilot that we're talking about today, the Moving Nashville Forward Guaranteed Basic Income pilot that we're trying to launch in North Nashville, is that it is all grassroots funded. That means that it is working everyday people that got a little extra in the bank, that is willing to donate to see us transform how our community deals with poverty. And I think that is one way that we actually end up in a place where not only do we have more community members knowing about how guaranteed basic income improves their conditions and their neighbors' conditions, but we also have folks that are reorienting themselves towards how we talk about poverty. I think Denzel talked about it so much, is that a lot of this work, and Caroline kind of bounced on it too, a lot of this work is about narrative change. It's about narrative change, right? So that's why we wanted to make sure we're even coming to you every last Sunday of the month to have this conversation about how guaranteed basic income intersects, how the guaranteed basic income pilot in North Nashville will be done, and hopefully, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, if you're viewing this, whether it's now, later, or in the future, right, that you walk away knowing more about what a guaranteed basic income is and how you see yourself in the movement. So with that being said, if you all can talk about movement work, I know both of you have a special orientation to it, so just tell us about your experience with movement work or your family experience with movement work and how you got here.
Ooh, okay. How far do I want to go back? I'm gonna tell the whole truth, right? So I can go as far back as high school.
Oh,
right. So for those who don't know, I attended a school called Montgomery Bell Academy, and that is where I had my early awakening on systemic injustice. And so while I was there, I became president of the African American Studies Club. I organized public and private school students for the annual Dr. King March. Led a lot of discussion around the need for racial equity, right? But I want to say one of my most deeply transformational moments when it came to organizing came when I was in undergrad. I was trying to figure out what major that I wanted to pursue, and at Morehouse College, we have an archive with Dr. King's works, some of which are unpublished. And so one of the articles that I read was one of his unpublished works where he started talking about poverty. And this is post-Vietnam Dr. King. This is the Dr. King that talked about the evils of economic exploitation, militarism, and racism, right? And so like in this article, he was talking about just like the conditions on the streets in Chicago, and he was talking about the rampant poverty that led to drug use, but was controlled and connected in many ways to state decisions and state divestment from Black folks, right? He started talking about the working of teachers who have to put on many hats and don't really have time to focus on teaching. He was talking about the need for hospitals to be more properly staffed so that folks could actually get the care that they needed. And when I started reading that, I was like, man, he's talking about now, right? And so his words actually inspired me to go into economics and pursue my work as an economist. And so from there, when I came back home, roughly 2016, and then had to go to grad school and came back in 2018, I just really delved into my work from Nashville Economic Justice Alliance, Nashville Chapter of Black Lives Matter, from the Black Nashville Assembly as we move forward in time. Just really wanted to root deeply into my city because I believe one of the best ways you can affect change is in the state and in the area that you were born in. Right, at home, right? Because that's the thing that's most familiar to you. That's where you come from, right? And so you can be the change that you see in your city. And so I'm glad to be rocking with my folks in Movement Space, Jamel, so many others. And yeah, that's how I got here.
Movement Space. One, MBA. I did not, that's, that poem about your high school.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, feel free. Yeah. Movement work. So I've mentioned this before, and I make no apologies for how joyfully I claim being my grandfather's granddaughter. My grandfather was a civil rights attorney here in Nashville. He was named Randall Williams Jr., and he fought to stop the highway from being built in North Nashville. He regularly worked for free to get people who were wrongfully incarcerated out of prison. He was the first Black man to be elected to the Tennessee State Senate since Reconstruction. when he was elected. And, you know, he was part of the team that bailed the sit-in activists out regularly. And I think that I was raised, he didn't leave me money, but he left me fire, right? He left me fire and a big story, and a sense of responsibility to carry on the work. So I come to that way, and I think, you know, my way in this moment has been complicated, because I think, you know, accepting what your role is in a movement is really important. And so to me, I think, you know, it's a battle. It's not just a battle, it's a war, right? It's a war against injustice. And I think figuring out, you know, the people that are the foot soldiers or the badass pilots, the people that know how to drive the tanks, those are the jobs that you think of, you know, like the people. And I think that realizing that writing, realizing that getting in the classroom, realizing that sitting in my house, pulling my hair out, trying to figure out how to write like this poem or this article that's going to break people's brains into something new, that's also part of the work. Making peace with that has allowed me to use those tools even more effectively. And yeah, I think that just realizing that the writing is part of the work, that the educating, that the being able to staying in white spaces long enough to change some minds. Do you know, like those are all parts of the work. And so, you know, we talk about reframing, changing the narrative. Like, yeah, that's my sense of the movement work, is that I didn't even realize how long I'd been in the movement in my adult life until I realized, like, oh, this is part of the soldiering as well. And then once I could name that, I was like, great, this is my life calling forever.
For sure. You remind me of a quote. I think it's by Tony Bambara. It says, like, the role of the creative is to make the movement irresistible.
That's right. Love that.
And so I want to say thank you to, like, both you, Third Man, and everyone and all the artists that are in the room for helping us put this on. But before we move on, a quick question. And I think we might end every Sunday school interview in a similar way, so take your time. How do we move Nashville forward? That's an abstract question. You can answer it however you want to. Of course, I think we move Nashville forward with a guaranteed basic income. But we know that guaranteed basic income intersects with other things, right? So, real fast, how do we move Nashville forward? Take your time.
I'll use an analogy, right? Let's use a car analogy, right? So if I need to move forward, if I need to move on the road, I have to have a functioning car that's fully fueled, and a driver in the seat that needs to steer it forward, right? So I know if we think about this car, in order to construct this car, we have to use the proper parts. Part of the proper parts in this work is recognizing the conditions that we're in and how we got here, right? If that car is not constructed correctly, that thing is going to crash, right? But not only do you need that constructed car, you also need fuel, right? Fuel, right? Because if the car is running on E, it's not going to move, even if it's properly constructed. So that fuel is very much so the people. Right. That fuel is very much so the right ideology and the orientation towards justice in order to propel us in the right direction. And lastly, you need a driver, right? Because you can have a fully gassed or fully fueled car. You can have it properly constructed. But if you don't have a driver, that thing ain't going to move. And so with that proper driver, we're talking about the people that are on the ground, the organizers, the community, the people who have that vision that can move us forward. And so that, I think, is how we can move Nashville forward.
Thank you for that. How can we move Nashville forward?
So I've called this place a country club city when I've tried to describe it to other people sometimes. And I think there are people laughing in this room. Zora Neale Hurston said, you got to go there to know there. And I think here, one of the things that has been silencing but has also given us a lot of tools here the ones of us who have figured out how to navigate it, it has been the good manners of this city. There's a lot of good manners, and there's a lot of back rooms of power that are part of how this place runs in a way that you don't see as much in big cities, and Nashville has become all of a sudden the big city, but it's still a country club city. And I think that we're gonna have to figure out how to change our manners to reflect our morals better. I think that we have to be able to stand hard conversations. I think that we have to figure out how to more openly condemn people with objectionable views. And we need to stop smiling at people at church who we know vote against human rights. We need to stop having polite conversations with our family members who vote against human rights. We have to be prepared to break old rules about manners because our morals have changed. And the way that we handle conversations in the city needs to reflect that. And there needs to be room for that choice to be made right now.
For sure. Thank you for that. With that being said, y'all give it a hands up. Make some noise for Caroline Williams and Denzel, two of my great friends. I really did enjoy that. Like I said before, the role of the creative is to make movement irresistible. So we have another artist coming up for you. My brother, friend of mine, Black City native, somebody that I love dearly. The homie can move mountains with his words. Give it up for the BlackSon.
Okay, we might be onto some. Intuition don't lie, I told you that. Just 1 second, I'ma teach you how to time travel. Yeah. I could get a Pax and FedEx. I could re-up, running back. I could do the numbers, I could run the math, I could run a route, I could catch a pass. Be on all the blogs on the internet. Pull up with a shawty, strip her thick. I could fall in love with insignificance, roll as Mike Epps and be funny about the Benjamins. I could serve a term as the president. Speak on all the shit that wasn't relevant, create a whole world and destroy the evidence. I could lose touch with my relatives. I could lose faith in the Savior. I could disappear, I'll see you later. I could make the front page of the paper for the wrong fucking reason. I could dapper Dan, I could innovate up in a ventilator for the hazy. You keep the praises, I could go crazy, I could go crazy, I could go crazy. I could Cobain, I could cold chain, I could lawyer, I could cold case, I could start a church, study Genesis. I could Maserati at the dealership, I could break a promise, I could benefit. I could be dishonest to get membership, I could lie to kick it, I could pivot in my limitless, I could pull up flex and no tents cause we rented it. I could go chrysalis, I could be the stimulus, I could never let a dollar bill make me sensitive. I could never let a dollar bill make me sensitive. I could never let a dollar bill make me sensitive. Study Genesis. Well, you know what? Today, I'm a little sensitive about them dollar bills today, okay? So I just want to first thank y'all who viewing. I want to thank the people here because y'all could be anywhere on a Sunday morning, you know? But today, we trying to get a guaranteed basic income for some families out north. And then for some families in the city, and then for some families across the world, you know what I'm saying? But we're going to start with Moving Nashville Forward. I want to thank Third Man and Gooch. And then I want to get into the next record. We good. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give thanks in advance because we about to get this done right here. We're going to get this done. This one right here produced by Beezy. We've been in a crazy bag lately. Except for the diaspora, bruh. They can't get another split from me. They can't get another split from me. I need my masters, I need peace upon delivery. They getting drunk off hype and I just opened a distillery. Minus the smoke and mirrors, revision is history. I'm here in the flesh, the epitome. I'm healing myself and now they sick of me. Relate to Dr. Sebi, I've been trying different remedies. I clear the energy with incense, saves the entrance, frankincense the premises. I'm working hard, don't mess up the feng shui. I'm the yin and yang, okay? What else is there to say? I channel Zeus, I channel Midas. I'm one with the lightning, I know what the time is, don't try to remind them. Yeah. Yeah, we did this here with our hands. BZ got a nigga thanking God in advance. BZ got a nigga thanking God in advance. We did this here with our hands. BZ got a nigga thanking God in advance. BZ got a nigga thanking God. Look, ain't no reason not to remember all them cold nights in December. I've been running up a ticket, I'ma split it with my niggas. I need funding for the babies, you believe in black business. Manifest, you gotta want it. Gotta go deeper than hundreds. I see that right on the money. Nobody know who the one is. Big bank roll on somebody who don't give a shit. Being broke with a good idea, the equivalent. I know how that goes. Gotta get some business about yourself if you really want the gold and the wealth. Look, today is not the day to close your eyes. I promise. Look, I said today is not the day to close your eyes. You did? Look, all accord in the plan. The plan today is guaranteed basic income. You know what I'm talking about? And so we thanking God in advance for that. And then this next one, I'm gonna run wiretaps because I feel like it's the most fitting thing, you know. We can run to the next one. We all good. That's just a little vibes for them. We could have let y'all rock, but you know.
Hello?
What you doing, nigga?
Man, what up? What you doing? Where you been?
Man, chilling, bro. I'm finna go to the studio. What you on?
Man, not shit, man. At the crib, chilling.
All right, I'm gonna come message you before I go to the studio.
All right, turn your lights off. Park in the back.
All right, bro.
All right, 100.
If my phone tapped, I hope they listening. If gun control is real, we gon' be hiding pistols. The one in cuffs ain't supposed to be the victim. Patriotism, shoot through the roof, you sacrifice the children. That's what I learned in school. That's the same shit I saw on the news. I'm my brother's keeper and his sniper if your brother creep up. These niggas simp, son, like Lisa, animated faking features trying to sneak up. Everybody say they rap, but don't deliver. I'm going postal how I handle shipping. All this esteem got a nigga venting. I'm only trying to clear my system of the stress that got a nigga dreaming. This reality is endless, and this case is still pending on somebody I grew up with. Yeah, usual suspects. Long as niggas dying, CNN won't make it public. And we can't listen to the puppets, it's all corrupted. I'm turning up so we can turn this into something. I pray to God MC prepared a sermon. Welcome to worship. Yeah, outside of earth shit. Take your mind deeper than the surface. I'll be your server, so I hope the tips are worth it. I bet Malcolm heard it. I bet Trayvon went deaf when they read the verdict. I bet they both see me working for these black sons who really do deserve it. I'm erasing lines the source might have quoted. It's summertime and niggas killing for a quota. Oh man, why they killing for a quota? Look, hey, so usually right here, Brown be on there talking crazy because we just had, you know, we might have to put that on the show track because I need that every time, you know what I'm saying? We need 20% every time. Look, this is where I get to get my grooves off. Hey, look, you know I'm like that. Okay, I'm Grandmaster Black, I want all the scratch. Yeah, it's a new era, but they all cap, so I can't guarantee shit till Mizza call back. I connect with the infinite in my penmanship. I cliffhangered, okay, now I'm back to finish it. I fishtell a spaceship, I'm starting businesses. Give me chips with the dip and extra clips. I see they lying in they raps, but they snakes. I can hear the extra S's in they sentences. I mean, it is what it is, bro. Cut the gimmicks. I stretch profit. Call it Black City Fitness. You know the Chiefs got options. We a new Olympus. Skunk license plate. Window funky tenant. I need some doors in real estate. 150 tenants. 150 pennants. Only 2 lieutenants. a couple of hours, 22 minutes. Angels tap me on the shoulder, reminder of mission. Yeah, I do not work on commission. I am not for sale. It's important when we check the mail. You know what that means? I am not, that's them quarterlies. Yeah. I am not for sale. It's important when I need big. Now, you should check yourself. I just check the scales. I can't take a L because we listen well. Niggas say them 2 cents for a wishing well. If it's on some 10 shit, you gon' know the smell. If you really smart, then you know Chanel. Appreciate over time so she doesn't dwell. I'm a cop and she won't rock it, then we upsell. Split the person, now her pocketbook is looking fat as hell. Tell me more about the Rockets, Elon. I'm here for the future, just don't need no one to lean on. You know what I mean? That's because Future be on that lean. That's why I had to do that like that. We taking big checks. I need big steps and some new specs for the vision that we manifest. Be shooting fiend, put them boys on bed rest. We aiming from the feet to the head rest. For the have-nots, I'ma go and get, since my stash spot is an asset. Sonny had this way about him since the address. Sonny had this way about him since the address, boy. Okay, that's my time. I go by the name of BlackSon. And again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in, for pulling up. So the reason we here today is we trying to guarantee 100 families a guaranteed basic income from North Nashville to all across the world. So my brother Gooch, Reed, they're gonna come continue that conversation and put us on that level. Thank y'all again.
Give it up. Give it up.
Keep coming back.
Give it up one more time for the BlackSon. Give it up one more time for the BlackSon. Give it up one more time.
Thank y'all for being here.
Give it up for yourselves. Give it up for yourselves. One in the room. Give it up for yourselves. Give it up for yourselves.
Thank you, Third Man. Thank you, BlackSon. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Denzel. I'm here to tell, we've been talking about a guaranteed income today. I'm here to tell you how you can help. We're going to make Moving Nashville Forward the first grassroots funded guaranteed basic income pilot in the country. Jamel said earlier, this is happening in cities all over the country, but we're gonna make this happen based on donations from people in this community. Together, Nashville can create a guaranteed basic income pilot in North Nashville, start disrupting poverty, start breaking down the structures that Caroline and Denzel and Jamel were just talking about. There are 3 things you can do. First, it's up on your screen right now. You can donate. Anything you can offer, we'll take it, right? We're gonna be here every month. Come back next month. There are gonna be more events. The third thing you can do is follow us on Nashville FWD, Nashville Forward, right? Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. We're gonna have announcements. We're gonna have ways to get people engaged. We can do this. Nashville can do this together. No other city has ever done this like we're gonna do it. But we've already talked about today about why Nashville is the place that it can happen like this. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Reed. One more time. Give it up for yourselves for the first one. The first one is always the hardest one to get to, and y'all did a great job. So before we get out of here real fast, we do have something that we want to share with you. This is a video that Third Man worked so hard to do. So give it up for Third Man one more time, because they're really doing a lot to help us get this guaranteed basic income for Nashville. So we're going to premiere a video for you all. We're also going to spread this video out. We're probably going to start posting on our socials. And this video really cues up that narrative change that we're trying to do with guaranteed basic income. So we're wrapping now, right? We want you to join us next time. Click some of those links, donate to us. But stay in your seat and just feel the vibes of this next video. So love y'all. Glad y'all were able to come through. Let's talk again soon.
What does it mean to dead end a neighborhood? In 1968, Nashville chose to build Interstate 40 directly through the heart of North Nashville.
Over 600 homes were destroyed, 6 black churches were demolished, over 50 streets were dead-ended, and it caused 80% of black businesses in North Nashville to close.
My question to you would be, at whose expense has North Nashville changed? It's been at our expense.
I've lived in North Nashville my whole life. From my grandmother raised us in her 2-bedroom apartment. It was like 17 of us living in a 2-bedroom. You know, just living in poverty in North Nashville has always been what it is.
People have a hard time getting their basic needs met. Food, clothing, and shelter.
We've been socialized to believe that poverty is a result of character flaw, character failing, or it must be a bad person.
The money donated to Moving Nashville Forward will directly support the families of North Nashville who are in need by giving them unconditional cash and providing a pilot for what a guaranteed basic income would look like in Nashville.
We can meet people's needs right now. They don't need any red tape. They don't need other adults telling them how to spend their money or why they should deserve to get resources to meet their basic needs to survive.
If this money is donated, maybe some of these kids won't end up in juvenile.
We're not coming to you today with a new nonprofit. We're not coming to you today with some new organization. What we're coming to you today with is an idea that we know will work.
The pilot would directly challenge any myths around poverty as it relates to moral character, because people know what they need. People know how to address their needs, and they just need the resources to make it happen.